Welcome to Nasdaq Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, global markets reporter at Nasdaq. M&A deal makers are turning to new AI-driven technologies to facilitate the deal-making process, and some areas of the world will respond better than others. Joining me to discuss is Rusty Wiley, CEO of DataSite. Rusty, it's great to have you with us. Welcome to Trade Talks.
Hi, Jill. Thanks for having me on.
Let's take a look at the current M&A environment. Have you seen a rebound in activity?
Yeah, so we started to see the change of the pandemic in early March, and I think as we shared, we do about 20% of the deals in the world are on our platform. We do about 12,000 deals a year, and we saw a sharp turn in March. We went from being up in the mid-teens to flat in March, then down 20, and then down 30 in May. And then we saw the rebound begin in June, and it really started in two phases. In early June, we saw a rebound related to strategics that had strong balance sheets. And then as we moved into the back half of June, sort of the middle market and the rest of the market began to fill in. And we think some of that is because when we look at the deals on the platform, when the pandemic hit, we sort of expected a large number of deals to be taken down, as you would expect in a crisis like that. And we track it every month, and what we saw was literally no change in the number of deals that were being closed. So what happened was, while the market stalled for 2 months, deals stayed ready on the platform so people could take advantage of improving high yield markets and credit markets and come out and do the deal when the environment improved. So yes.
How does DataSite fit into the deal making ecosystem?
Yeah, so what we do is we try to support the deal from being deal ready at the very beginning all the way through being able to close the deal. So as an example, we have technology, and again, the AI piece being important to deal velocity, that allow clients to actively organize a high volume of content using AI. So you could take 5,000 documents and use the AI tool to tell you exactly what those documents are and where you should put them in your data room when you go into active diligence. And we've also developed technology to allow clients to be able, on the sell side, to be able to reach out to large numbers of clients and automate the email process, the NDA process, the SIM process. So really everything we're doing is using technology from the very beginning of being deal ready, all the way through reaching out to clients and prospects, through running the diligence as we typically have in the past, and then closing the deals.
Well, let's learn more about what the future of M&A is going to look like. Together with Euromoney Thought Leadership Consulting and DataSite, conducted a survey of 2,200 M&A professionals across Americas, Europe, and EMEA on the future of M&A. And I think this is really exciting, some of the things that you learned. What does it look like over the next 5 years?
Well, I think we saw a couple of points that came front and center. One of them was the feedback was by 2025, the deal makers expected to be able to do deals and due diligence in 1 month. And for those who are around this space today, that typically is about a 1 to 3 month or longer process. We saw that being one of the key leading indicators of how technology and AI would impact deal making. I think the other one that really surfaced is being, environmental and social and governance being really critical going forward in deals. And we've always had the pillars of deals of operational and financial and legal risks associated with acquisitions. But what we're seeing now is ESG is moving to the forefront as one of those pillars that you've got to actively evaluate in an asset transaction when you're acquiring a business. The other thing we've seen to some extent, really in June, we looked at June numbers, is the size of deals are getting much larger. All right, so if you think about what's happening with the pandemic, a lot of buyers really want to understand how much damage has been done to the asset, and in the new normal, what is that asset really going to be valued at based on performance? So we're seeing the data rooms grow rapidly. Our data rooms in June are 60% bigger than they were in the same period last year. So I think it's going to get faster with automation. There's certain things that deal makers are confident won't really be automated. Things like deal strategy, as an example, negotiations. But every other step of the process, from preparing, from reaching out, from doing the due diligence and closing the deal, they believe will be automated in the future. And that's where we come front and center with our investments around AI.
So Rusty, to wrap up here, specifically when we talk about the technology and being able to do that due diligence in a month, which is quite remarkable, would you say these trends were in place already? And did COVID-19 accelerate that? Because we've all learned how to work and do this from home. Most workforces like Nasdaq's, for example, 98% of us are working from home. Was that trend already in place and this just accelerated it?
Yeah, I think it was in place. We started investing 3 years ago in building the models and the analytics to be able to do AI around the content. So this was something where if you looked at, in a deal, the most important thing you could do is have the right insight, have the right velocity, and get the right outcome, which really means faster deals. And so we started investing in this 3 years ago. I think what's a little bit different now, though, Jill, is the remote work and the volume of work that's got to get done remotely, whereas not in conference rooms, exchanging documents and whiteboarding, puts a premium on these tools and leveraging AI technologies. Another good example of it is redacting in data rooms. The vast majority of data rooms, about 70%, have content you have to protect. So we have an AI tool now that will allow a client to redact the entire data room in a matter of hours. So the remote piece of it didn't start the focus on being able to automate the M&A lifecycle, but it accelerated it with having to do more work in less time in a remote environment, I think. So that combination is really what's driving the change.
Yeah, it's really quite remarkable. Rusty, thanks so much for joining us on Trade Talks.
Thank you for having me, Jill.
And thanks for joining me. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq.